Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am back with another guardian from Ankh, Gods of Egypt, and this is Ammit. He's a crocodile, hippo, bear looking thing. So he is primed with some necrotic flesh to have as a base color, almost like a scaly skin for a crocodile. And we're starting off with a dry brush of some monster brown over all the scale parts that we notice. However, I do paint over some of the scales later on and then do come back and dry brush those to fix them. Moving on to a contrast paint from Citadel Colors. This is Militarum Green, and this is going to go over all of the crocodile scales that are on the top part of this miniature. It covers really well, gets into the recesses, and keeps some of that monster brown still showing a little bit once it's done, because I didn't want the monster brown to be like too prominent on the scales. I just wanted it as an undertone. Now here is a gray spell, which is an instant color from scale 75. I was expecting this to work a little bit better than it did. I even tried putting like 3-4 coats when it dried, because I really wanted this to have like a rhino or whatever hide looking. Anyways, it just didn't work. Like, I don't know why, it just didn't give me the effect I needed. So I will come over later and fix that up. I'll let it dry first. Now we're going to use another instant color by scale 75, and this is the Demon Brown. Now I have used this before, and I do like how this one comes out because it does keep some of the undertone necrotic flesh a bit underneath the fur, so it's like you still see that crocodile skin a bit underneath it, so it actually turns out pretty good. Now you have to be careful when you're painting Ammit. He has these like little skeletons or whatever little poking out of his fur, and you got to be careful not to hit them. So here we're using Opal Skin. It's a new skin tone from the Army Painter. As you can see, I'm going over those bumps that I'd already dry brushed with the Monster Brown. I was trying to go around them and avoid them. I'm like, oh, that's going to look weird with the green underneath and all that. So I just painted over them and come back and dry brush afterwards. So yeah, so this is for underneath the lips, the top of the hands, and his nose. I don't even know what you call that for a reptile. Anyways, I don't know if it's the same thing, if it's a nose or not. Yeah. And next I'm going to be using Underdark Gray to go back, and this is mixed in with a little touch of brown. I don't remember which brown it was, but just a little touch to redo the rhino part of his bottom, because it's more of a gray color on the artwork, and I wanted that gray spell to work, but it didn't. Now I'm going to mix a little ruby skin, and I'm going to add a pearl pigment toner. So this is what you do, is you add this to a skin tone, and it comes in a skin tone paint set to make it a little bit more white kind of thing, or lighter. But I didn't want the ruby skin right off the bat because it was really pink, but I used that underneath the paws and the top parts of the mouth and around the teeth a bit, just to give it like a little bit more of a pinkish hue like in the artwork. The next color we're going to be using is Abomination Gore, and these are for all the little snakes. Now a lot of people thought this looked like blood in his mouth, and I've seen other people paint it too, and they all say, oh, it looks like blood, and it's like, no, these are snakes. And there was no details to this snake really. I could have maybe did a little bit more. I could have went with a different color maybe to make it look less like blood, but this is what it looks like in the artwork. Now we're going to use some scaly hide, and this is just to contour the outings of the eyes, because he has a little bit lighter green on there. And now we're going to have some fun painting those little skeletons with some skeleton bone, of course, from the Army Painter. And it's so hard to find the details of these little guys because there's like little bones sticking out here and there. So there's 2 on his chest and there's 1 on his left arm. Yeah, so just take your, you don't have to take your time with it too much, not too many details, just paint as much as you can over it. And now we're going to use some moon dust just to put a little strip of yellow in his eyes, like a amphibian would have, or a crocodile, reptile, sorry, not amphibian, but a reptile would have. And now we're using some tanned flesh for the teeth, the claws on his hands, and on his feet. He had very darkish brown teeth, and I found that this was going to be good with the wash later on. Alright, and speaking of washes, we're going to be using some light toner, and this is from the Army Painter. We're going to be putting this entire miniature except for where I use contrast or instant colors, and as you can see, it gives it a nice little brownish coating, almost to match what the artwork is. Now you're going to notice at the end, when I have my spinning picture, that I have a second picture showing up because there's 2 of these in the box. Just like pretty much all the level 3 guardians, there's 2 of them, except for Pechuchos, which is one single massive guardian. Anyway, so what I did is I did 2 bases, one with Vallejo's water texture, and the other one with AK Interactive's clear water gel. So I use that on the second one, and you can see I use also a little bit of some textured mud, and I put some contrast, so it almost looks like he's coming out of the water. Anyways, I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and we'll catch you all in the next one.